Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Got my brother Logic, Supreme Dr. Logic in the building. BTP, Be the Power is on deck. And we just wanted to have a little discussion. Peace, Swig 13. I think you was just over on IG. I'll see you in the chat, fam. You know, we have our little discussions, the brothers and I, we wake up early some days and we be going in. And sometimes, you know, the discussions we have amongst ourselves is better than the ones we have on the show sometime, on the platform. So we just wanted to basically have a conversation today about black and white criminality and you know, and just various other topics, man, because we can no longer sit by and watch as other groups build like Proud Boys and quote unquote white nationalist groups when you know we are being emasculated. So we're going to talk about all these different things right now, man. Brother Logic, wait. Matter of fact, hit the like button, fam, as you come in. You already know if you want to contribute to the platform, you can use the super chat or you can use the Cash App handle for Be the Power. That's $ Be the Power. And we can go from there, support the platform so we can grow from here, is what I meant to say while I'm trying to read and analyze a whole bunch of other things, as well as share out this particular tweet. So brother Logic, you know, let's start this thing off, man. We was talking earlier about who are the real criminals in the United States of America. And you know, from reading Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, she does an excellent job of breaking down what constitutes a criminal in the United States of America. And that's usually a person with brown skin called black, a black person in the US. And she gives these correlatives. Like, you know, there's no category such as white on white crime. So why is it a such thing as black on black crime? Right? Like, yeah, right about that. White people do more criminal stuff than anybody in the world, actually, and particularly the American white. So, what's your thoughts on that, brother?
I mean, absolutely. And I want to pick up with one thing that you said. You said so-called white nationalists, right? And oftentimes we look at, you know, these nationalistic groups a certain way. And I want to just talk about white nationalism for just one second and its correlation to crimes, right? White nationalists. Now, so we know black nationalists and what we have as a concept of black nationalism, right? But you've never seen, or there hasn't been in America specifically, any successful black nationalist movements. They have not set up or manifested black nationalism in a way that it created a real power structure, right? Tied to economics, a legal system, anything like that. But what the white groups or the white nationalists are the most successful nationalists in history. And they do it by two ways, by means of violence and means of deception, right? So we look at and they cloak their criminal activity in nationalism, right? If you look at just that alone, the way we look at crime is real bias. We have a crime bias. We look at crimes of poor people, crimes of black people, and we look and evaluate it and analyze it a certain way. But you don't look at crime when it comes from the father of crime. You look at how the father of crime, which is these white nationalists. And I want to even go as further to say that white nationalists are the fathers of crime. What do I mean? White nationalists created the race classification system. White nationalists created white supremacy. White nationalists created the racist systemic system that we all have to fight, not only in America, but the world over. It's a product of white nationalism, and vice versa. White nationalism is a product of white supremacy, and white supremacy is a product of white nationalism. And you look at this group, the Proud Boys, and things that they're doing, and many other groups, especially during this year of the COVID rebellions, right? Rebelling against the COVID policies of shelter in place, rebelling against the mask orders, rebelling. And these white nationalists are rebels at heart. But I understand that that's woven deeply into the very fiber of the American spirit, is to be a rebel. And I take that a little further and say that crime is at the heart of the American heartbeat, right?
That's right.
Because America has its inception as a criminal operation. We talked about it before. Slavery, what propped this country up, made it great and successful, was a criminal enterprise, right? And they made that thing spread the country over. Now, so we look at the Proud Boys and other groups like them, and they say that they're doing everything based on being patriots and trying to save the country, and all this nationalistic type of energy that they want to package it up in. But what you see them doing is criminal acts, crime, terrorizing, right? Kidnapping governors, state officials, like real terroristic type of stuff. If you go back in history and look at the Ku Klux Klan, terrorist organization. But these people are white nationalists. White nationalists historically have been the most dangerous, most violent, most horrific element in American society. But who wears the face of crime in America? Our people. We're the ones who are depicted as the undesirable, toxic element in the fabric of society. That's us. That's what they do to us. But let's really look at crime in America, and we will see the bulk of crime comes from the white population, whether they be immigrant or like founding white Americans, right? That's rooted back to the formation of this republic. All criminal activity leads back to them, right? And the problem that we really see is how crime enacted and exercised by white groups gets glorified, minimized, and then it gets minimized and then glorified. You have the original white criminals, or who go back, right? So you can go back to, Jesse James, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and you got like all these William H. Bonney. These are American heroes, but they're stagecoach robbers and bank robbers and criminals. But that goes back to the very heart in the American psyche, and they're glorified, right? After they are arrested, hung, in prison, and whatnot. But when we have those type of people of our group, they never get that. What their crimes are often exaggerated, and then they're demonized instead of glorified on the back end. You never get hero stories of black criminals in society and stuff like that celebrated the country over. You know what I mean? So you have to really look at this thing, and you're seeing it in real time. Even when we go back to the founding fathers, they were doing criminal activity in their act of rebelling. So we have to look at that, and we look at the numbers. We can do the statistics on every crime in America, and the population that's producing the bulk of that crime is going to be connected to that white group. You understand? It's going to be. You look at rape. Rape is the one that needs to have a microscope on it. Look at all the rape that's going on in the white society, not only just today, but historically. They have achieved the greatest heights of every crime known to man, right? And how do we end up wearing the face of crime? Look at murder. Look at the numbers on rape. Look at the numbers on kidnapping. Look at the numbers on serial killing. Look at the numbers on mass shooting. Look at the numbers on domestic terrorism. Look at the numbers on theft. Look at the numbers on racketeering, fraud. All of these crimes in the long history of criminal code, and that had to be indexed based on white male specific activity. And no one speaks
That's
to
right.
that, and how the white male is a toxic element in the fabric of American society. Nobody speaks to that. And then he's the least policed person in the entire country, or in the entire world. No one is held to the lowest levels of accountability. He gets all this power in society and has almost virtually no accountability.
No accountability.
Does whatever he wants to do in the name of whiteness, and gets celebrated. But we do anything and we're demonized. Look at the black on black crime. Black on black crime. What are we talking about? We got history of, you can study the history in New York. You can study the history of even going back to the Civil War. Like, what is that? That's white on white crime. White folks killing each other by the thousands. You go back to
Damn straight.
the Italian crime families killing each other up by the thousands. You understand? Like, what is this? This is, and never did you hear in the media, white on white crime is out of control. White on white crime is out of hand. These white folks are so violent that somebody needs to do something about the white man. He's toxic. What's wrong with the patriot? Like, this is toxic masculinity. Only when the black man starts standing up and doing something for himself, we start getting all these crazy terms. No, it's the patriarchy. Where the hell was all this goddamn patriarchy talk 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? When did that become an issue in the black family? When did that become an issue in black society? Now we're borrowing all of these terms that are the effects, and the trauma actually comes from outside of our group. But now we're directing that onto our own people. Patriarchy ain't never been no issue for us, because you had a whole movement fighting just to be recognized as a man. So you can't be exercising the damn patriarchy and you ain't even got the recognition of a man. So now we get blamed for that. And we get blamed. We have a long history of being blamed for being the most violent people, all this gun violence. Black males specifically have wore the face of gun violence. And then you see things like the Proud Boys and all these other little terroristic groups. And now people are all scared, like, what we gonna do, man? These people are so violent. Well, how are you so scared now? But you've been telling me that we're the most violent. Why would we be worrying about them? If we the most violent, we got all the guns, all the gun crimes is connected to us.
Right.
What will we be scared of them for? Come on in,
Yo,
talk to me, man.
all of the give the guns back. Yo, in New York, they had this thing. I think they still have it with the police precincts. They want to get the gun reads. You can come in and turn in your guns to the police station, and listen, we're not gonna bother you. You just turn in the gun, and it's really, really funny, man. How they try to they try to strip black men of all manhood, any access or possibility to achieve self-determination or manhood in any capacity. They want to strip you from it, and at the same time criminalize you, man. It's freaking amazing. And like you said, and one of the sisters brought up Carl Rittenhouse. I think that's the little European kid that shot up them people down there, over the Breonna Taylor protests and stuff, and they treating him with such respect, man. They raising money for him, all that. So they get rewarded for criminal behavior. They get rewarded for criminal behavior. So, I just wanted to say that, man. It's a shame how they've been able to use propaganda to criminalize and change the face of Black America in terms of how they're viewed in America and how they're viewed across the world, even because other people adopt those views when they come to this country.
Yeah, and my thing is, I just don't know why our people haven't, like, Why do we keep buying into this this propaganda that we're this violent criminal group when we can clearly see you've never seen no instance like with Dylan Ruth, I believe that was his name, who goes in the name of white nationalism, goes into a
Right.
church, a black church, kills a state senator who was also the pastor and 8 other people in the church. You don't see black, but they'll tell you, you can take like Farrakhan, for instance, or Malcolm X back in the day, all that rhetoric and radical talk, right? And they were deemed as these are the most dangerous people in America. It's so scary. Oh my God. They ain't killed not one person that was white. But you got people like Dylan
Right.
Ruth who can go into a church, kill a state official, and who's also a pastor, and 7, 8 other members of his congregation, and then go to Burger King. And then that story get minimized and downplayed. No one's even talking about that anymore. How in the hell can you go into a church? And this is for all you Christians too. Like, how can you like go into a church? You've never seen no black folks do no stuff like that. But then we keep always want to say, well, what we gonna do about black on black crime and all this other stuff? No, what are we gonna do about the father of crime? The father of crime is out here giving birth to crime and continuously reproduces. He's raising a culture of crime. He's feeding the culture of crime. He's providing and protecting a culture of crime. But what is he doing is he has this group of people who is designed and designated to eat the majority of the consequences of criminal activity. Why aren't we waking up and recognizing that? And there's other elements to it too. But we got to talk about these white nationals. These white nationals have historically been the most dangerous criminal element in American society.
Somebody said they think Raphael Warnock is a radical, right? If you're following the Georgia debates, you're able to see how they are attacking Warnock and Ossoff, as particularly Warnock, as a radical. They show him making speeches, right? While the people that they look up to, that they're cool with, like the Proud Boys, they're beating people up in the streets. They stabbed 4 people, I think it was yesterday, during a rally. They tore down the Black Lives Matter signs in DC, and they burned them. They just stood there and burned them. You know, you go back and you look at the book that we reference here often, which is The Bloody Shirt, and you see how these same white nationalists, because they're no different today than they were yesteryear, were doing every bit of the crime. And everything that they accused the Northern carpetbaggers of doing and being, they were. Y'all always hear me read this excerpt from this book, and I want to read it again, White by Law, where the author is citing a man named Richard Ford. And he says this: in order for the concept of a white race to exist, there must be a black race, which is everything the white race is not. Red, of course, does not want to be associated with. Thus, the most debased, stereotypical attributes of the quote-unquote black savage are none other than the guilty projections of white society. This white self-regard is at the root of race bigotry in all its forms. It is not a fear of the other, but a fear and loathing of the self. It is not so much the construction of blackness which matters. It is the construction of whiteness as the absence of those demons the white subject must project onto the other. They have created a psychological space whereas they could become the demon, they could become Lucifer, Satan, the devil, the dragon, the beast. They could become all of these things, but put it on to someone else. They can put that on to someone else, and that group is black people, right? And they'll use that rhetoric whenever they need to. Trump coming down the escalator and making a speech, Mexicans are rapists.
Like, yo, that's a good one right there. Now, how can the father of rape culture call anyone a rapist. There has been
And,
no one who has.
wait. He's a rapist himself. He's
Of
been
course he
accused
is.
by several
Of
women,
course he
and
is.
he grabs him by the
Yes,
coochie.
yes. That's what 45 is. And we got to understand that if we took out a sweeping indictment, we would understand that there is no one who has raped historically. There's no one who has raped like the white man. No one. He's the most raping pedophile molester that has ever existed. And this ain't no hatred. This is an actual fact. And if you think that I'm being radical, because it is radical, if you think me just saying this is radical, what is the actual rape? What is the actual molesting? What is the actual pedophilia? If just by me saying it, it's deemed radical. Oh, and see, this is the other problem. Too many of y'all want to be these safe Negroes. And you can't say nothing controversial because of how people are going to react. And that's what's problematic with a lot of these so-called leaders out here. They're too much of trying to please people. They want to get along with every damn body. And that's why they don't have what it takes to get us to that next level, because deep down in their heart of hearts, they're cowards. You understand? No one likes to be called a coward, but you got to call it out when you see it. Y'all want to go in there and think that you can do honest, fair dealing with the devil. And they were like, oh, he's called the white man the devil, man. Well, what kind of person would rape your mother, sell her, burn your father at the stake, cut his organs off and auction them off, cut his ears off, let you build the country, then rape your children, and then have 85 years of legal lynching laws in the legislation? What type of person in his own admittance says God chose my race to lord and be superior over yours? You understand? I'm not the one that's saying nothing crazy. Look at the actual history. If you don't see that as the devil's work, then what is God's work to you? If you don't see that as the work of the devil, for all you Christians and all of you religious people out there, who's doing that? That has to be the devil's work. You understand?
The whole purpose of creating the identity of whiteness was to be adversarial. I was talking about this the other night when I said that anybody who identifies as white is a devil or Satan. And I said, now, and I don't mean it in a Christian sense, but if you look at the words devil and Satan, what you're going to see is that those words at their root mean slanderer, means deceiver, means adversary. You understand? The whole purpose of creating the white identity was for them to be adversarial towards the descendants of Africa, was to be slanderers so that they can denigrate and blacken the descendants of Africa. That was the whole purpose of establishing that identity in the first place. So yeah, it's safe to say anybody who identifies as white is a devil. You muted, bro.
Yes. Not only is it safe to say, it's intelligent to say it. Because once you start identifying things the proper way, you'll know how to react and respond to them. Right? So now you won't be looking for no red man with a pitchfork and a tail and some horns on his head underneath the ground. You'll understand that the person who is producing legislation that'll put your brother in jail for having 2 grams of crack cocaine while his son has a half a kilo, but your son goes to jail for 30 years and his son gets probation. Then you will know what type of work you're dealing with and what you need to do to overcome that. And then you'll stop coming up with all of this nonsensical type of approaches. You can't reason with someone like that because they're intelligent. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. It's not like they just don't understand. They understand what they're doing. They know that you don't understand that
That's
they
a fact.
understand what they're doing. And they
Y'all
think
can't hear
that,
me?
yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, my bad. Because you were saying I was muted earlier. I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
No,
So,
my bad, bro.
no. Yeah. So the deception, right? If you could understand that the devil, well, the adversary, right, as Brother Ali so eloquently gave you the definition for, that our adversaries only deal in 2 ways. And if you could understand that anytime you're dealing with them, they're either being violent with you or they're being deceptive. If you could operate like that, you would put yourself in the best position to deal with them and to address this. But if as long as you think that, man, if we could just improve race relations and all we got to do is be better law abiders. And let me tell you something, we have been the most law abiding group that has ever existed in this country. We have been the most forgiving group that has ever existed in this country. We have been the most Christian. We have been the most Muslim. We have been the most righteous people who have ever existed in this country. And when we exercise those principles, we get persecuted. When we exercise forgiveness, we get murdered. When we continue to get murdered. When we exercise all of that, that doesn't garnish love or respect or any type of fair dealing from the adversary. That just emboldens him to do more damage. Only time we've ever got any respect in this country dealing with this criminal is when we've shown him that we know his language and we can speak his language well. We can speak that language well, but we got to communicate with the adversary. We got to start communicating with him in a language that he knows and that he speaks. So we got a definition of let's get in.
All right, let's get into this definition. Devil. Like, this is the etymological breakdown of the word devil. And it goes through, you know, it's the part that we want to get to is here. The late Latin word is from ecclesiastical Greek diablos, which in Jewish and Christian use was the devil, Satan, and which in general use meant accuser, slanderer. Thus, it was a scriptural long translation of Hebrew Satan. Satan. It is an agent noun from Greek diabolin, to slander, attack, literally to throw across, from dia across, and balin, to throw. So basically,
now pull up Satan. Go to Satan.
Oh, definitely. Let's touch on the accuser and the slanderer part real quick.
Yes. Right? Yes.
We have been accused of crimes by this system. There was a brother that Trump just executed hastily, I might add, before he leaves office. And like many other of our people who may be on death row for a crime that they did not commit, evidence pointed to this brother's exoneration that nobody wanted to look at again, that Trump wouldn't consider, that the Department of Justice would not consider. And we see that this brother was accused of something. The Central Park Five were accused of something. Emmett Till was accused of something. Like, all of our people that were murdered at the hands of the devil in flesh were accused of something. And
hey, bro, go back. We were accused of being the cursed seed of Canaan. Therefore, we were supposed to be the servants of servants, of meaning the servants of white people, right? We were. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. No, finish, bro.
So no, just the accuser part, man. We've been accused of being the face of crime in America. We've been accused of being the face of gun violence. We've been accused of being, and during the Reconstruction period, they used all kind of propaganda to accuse the black people in government of all kinds of derogatory things.
Oh yeah, let's look at this. Look how evil this accusatory action is. So even I said they only be violent or deceptive with you. So when in what they make look like justice is only a trick to catch you up so they can further persecute you. So they give you the ability, they call me enfranchised the Negro, gave them the ability to vote, the opportunity. They love that word, opportunity. Gave them the opportunity to vote. But then they come behind it and make what's called the literacy law. So now they say that you have the opportunity to vote, but then they make you read this paragraph when you get to the poll and then lock you up because they still let it be illegal for you to have the ability or the right or the privilege to actually be able to read. So if you were literate, you go to jail. But you can vote. But if you want to vote, you have to read this so we can prove or have evidence that you're competent enough to vote, because that's another thing we were accused of. They said, you let these niggas vote and they're not even competent enough to even cast a ballot. They're going to mess the whole democratic system up because they're too stupid. They can't even read. So let's make this paragraph. Boom. We show them that we can read the material. Then guess what? Go to jail because it's illegal for niggas to read. That's the work of the devil. You understand?
Now let's get to the slanderer part, right? So,
yes, sir.
Whenever someone comes along, let's just say a Dr. King, they slander him by calling him a communist, right? And when you paint the picture, particularly during the 60s, of what a communist was, then it's a bleak picture. It's one that reeks of evil and brutal control. So they paint Dr. King as a troublemaker and all of these different things because he was trying to get good done for our people. They slandered Malcolm X in the newspaper. They slandered him in the news daily. When the police shoot down one of our people, the first thing they do is pull up his own record, which is a form of slander, which falls under the category of false light. If you could look up false light, that falls up under the category of slander, right? So what they attempt to do is paint the brother in a false light so that there is justification for his killing.
Sister.
Or
the
the
same thing to
sister.
Breonna
That's
Taylor.
right. They did the same thing to her.
What's the other sister? Sandra Bland? It's the same thing to her.
The same thing to her. They're gonna find something. They're gonna promote and they're gonna elevate that. They did that with Trayvon Martin. There were pictures floating around of Trayvon Martin. They found a picture of Trayvon Martin with some gold teeth, holding a Glock and smoking some weed. That didn't make him a killer.
That didn't make him a criminal either.
And it did damn sure didn't make him a criminal. So this is the nature of the devil, the nature of the individuals that we're doing battle against. He's an accuser and a slanderer. So let's go to the word Satan. Proper name of the supreme evil spirit in Christianity. Old English, Satan from Latin, Satan and Vulgate, let me see, Greek Satanas, from Hebrew Satan. Adversary, one who plots against another, from Satan, to show
one
enmity.
Who plots against another, that's right.
Right, to show enmity to, oppose, plot against, from the roots, STN, one who opposes, obstructs, or acts as an adversary.
Bro, the whole purpose of creating the white identity was for them to take on an adversarial position and place themselves in a status above and against those who were the descendants of the inhabitants of Africa. That was the purpose. And they've acted in that capacity ever since. They've plotted, they've planned everything you could think of that is attributable to the name Satan and the devil. They carried it out.
Absolutely.
Back in.
All right, thank you. Absolutely. That was fire. That is fire. See, because now we didn't write this. We are known for producing literary works, but this ain't one of them. This ain't our literature. This is what white people are saying about Satan. We didn't write this. So you can't say that this is some be the power inflammatory rhetoric. No, we're just reading the definitions. They wrote this with their own pen. Now you have to contextualize this and say, how do I evaluate this from my worldview and from my perspective and my historical perspective, right? Who has been Satan to me? Who has been the adversary to me? You cannot deny that the most adversarial group in the history of our people has been this white man. This, and I don't even want to call him the white man, the man who has called himself white, because I didn't call him white. I didn't name him white. That ain't my fault. Abba didn't call them and define them as the white race. They said that they was the white. They created the race classification system. They said we were black. We didn't call ourselves black. I know the Hotep heads and all of them are going to have a fit about that, but you didn't call yourself black. You didn't create the race classification system. We were more sophisticated into thinking that the pigmentation or the color coding of a people was an appropriate way to identify who they were. That's not how you identify people based on their color. That's not how you tell who someone is or where they come from. That makes absolutely no sense. And the confusion and race relations will never be good or never be civil so far as we continue to go by the race classification system, because it was created in an adversarial nature. It was set up to put whites against blacks. That's the very nature of it. So you can never have good or civil race relations so far as you are going off the race classification system. Black, brown, yellow, all this nonsense. Who identifies somebody like that? And I know we all know, well, I'm black and I'm proud, but what are you proud of? That doesn't make any sense. It's foolishness. We're not black and they're not white. But as long as we continue to operate under that psychology, we're going to be trapped in this revolving door of what we see now. Them persecuting us being on the, because long as we accept that title, we are going to operate in that paradigm. It was designed for black to be on the bottom. That's the very psychology of it. And everything else is an outgrowth from that. That permeates the entire being, subconsciously and consciously. So you're going to always be in a disadvantaged position so far as you subscribe to this horrific classification system.
That's right. The low man on the totem pole. That's the status that you're supposed to occupy as a quote unquote black person.
Yeah. And that system is criminal in and of itself. The race classification system and the class people based on tone, skin tone, and phenotype is a crime. That's criminal.
Right.
Because now you've done stripped me of all of my birth. Where are the birthrights in that? Huh?
Right.
Where's the lineage in that? Huh?
So the wisdom of the inhabitants of Africa was this: I'm Wolof, I'm Mandinka, I'm Fulani, I'm Kisi or Capelle, I am this or that. That's what they did. That's how they did it. These people turned around and said, F all of that. You all are Negroes, blacks, and coloreds. Yeah. That's what you are.
Talk to them.
Adversarial.
So that's adversarial, ain't it?
I want to go somewhere with this, right? This next, I want to read the rest of Satan, and I want to get into I want to get biblical on them, if y'all don't mind, because I think this is important, right? We brought up Genesis verses 9, chapter 9, verses 25 through 27. Ali did, where he speaks about the curse of Canaan, right? Again, verse created to cause adversarial relationships between different groups of people, with the black people being the Canaanites at, again, the lowest or the bottom of the totem pole, right? So it says in Septuagint Greek, usually translated as Diablo slanderer, literally one who throws some across. Read that part. Though epibolos, plotter, is used once. So we know from the etymon that the devil is one who is constantly scheming. He's a plotter. But it goes on to give some context.
Like with predatory lending, racial housing covenants, literacy tests, things of that nature.
When legislators and lawmakers gather in a room with the express purpose of writing a literacy test in order for a person to be able to cast their sacred ballots. A plotter, a schemer,
That's
the
right.
devil. It says in biblical sources, the Hebrew term that Satan describes, the Hebrew term that the Satan describes an adversarial role. I don't know, that sentence just was off to me. Let me read it again. In biblical sources, the Hebrew term the Satan describes an adversarial role. I guess it means the term Satan. It seems like a word is missing there.
Maybe they saying
The Satan?
the Satan is
Okay,
actually, yeah.
I guess that's good, because then they would have italicized the word the as well. I don't know. Anyway, it says it is not the name of a particular character.
See.
Although Hebrew storytellers, as early as the 6th century BCE, occasionally introduced a supernatural character whom they called the Satan, what they meant was any one of the angels sent by God for the specific purposes of blocking or obstructing human activity. So even in early Hebrew texts, the word Satan wasn't confined to some entity that has a pitchfork that lives underground. Instead, the term Satan was used simply as one who occupied an adversarial role. I follow a specific set of teachings, the Moorish teachings, and it teaches us that there is no devil or no God in the way that we see it, right? We say that if man must find his devil, he must look within. The name of the devil is called self. We teach that God or Allah or whatever name you choose is the highest self, the highest principles of man within man. So this understanding comes in full play here. So I want to go to the Bible again, Matthew 23, 13. Right? Let me see. Not 13. It's Matthew 23, 15. And I want to give a little breakdown on this. It says, woe unto you. Remember, devil is the theme here. It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees.
Logic in the background.
All right, hold on. Let me bring him in. He's not fully connected yet for me to bring him on. But I'm gonna check it. He's gonna come back on. Let me read this though. It says, woe unto you, 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte. And when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Now, I want to read that again because that might sound confusing to some people. People might not know where I'm going with this. It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees. This is Matthew 23:15. It says, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte. And when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So why did I go there with that particular scripture after reading the etymology of Satan, which basically means one who is adversarial, one who is a plotter? Well, because the United States government recruits people from over land and sea to come over here. And when those people come over here, they replace us. Not only do they try to replace us, they become adversarial to us. They become in the image and the likeness of the devil that are the oppressive regime in the United States of America. So that's why I went there with that particular verse.
Wow.
That's why I went there, because that's what particularly the left-wing liberal arm of the government is doing. The right wing, really, they don't mind. They just want a lily white America. Liberal white America wants to suppress black men into some form of toxicity that cannot be stomached around what they are trying to build as a new normal. And we got to talk about that, because as we see the rise in white nationalism in the groups, their recruiting has been off the chain. I've watched documentaries on it over the past couple of weeks. Our young men, in some cases women, are in the streets murdering each other. I mean, I watch a video a day, it seems, of some camera outside of some store or housing unit catching a horrific murder in progress. And we got to find a way to redirect that energy, because these are our warriors. And whenever these Europeans, these devils who have set themselves up as adversaries to us, whom they call Black people, decide that they're going to do what the Proud Boys say that they want and what the alt-right say that they want, insofar as wanting a lily white America, and they try to kick off the race war. You may have some of us who are warriors who will go out with our dying breath fighting against that particular devil, right? But the rest of them are trying to be women, and in many senses have become devils themselves. They have joined in the adversarial nature of white supremacy in trying to castigate our men. This is what the debate with my son was about, because I seen him doing the work of the devil, the adversary, white supremacy, and he didn't realize it. And hopefully, he has come to a realization since our debate, because a lot of people since that debate has went at that brother's neck over that particular debate, because they said, you caping for these crackers, bro, and you don't even see it. This is some of the comments that I'm reading in the comment section. So, you know, we had to touch on that. We got to bring our gangs together, our street organizations. The Europeans probably called them that too, gangs, because they were the original gangs. We watched the gangs of New York. That's how they refer to the Italians and the early Jews and the early Irish. They refer to them as gangs. We didn't have power to be a gang back in those days.
And those gangs took over the actual branches of government in New York City, like the fire department, the police department. You understand? That's how the New York City Fire Department and Police Department really develops out of those early European gangs.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, we wanted to get on today, and I'm about to play this video, this powerful video. Oh, can I share it? Yeah, I can.
Man, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, what you just broke down was so powerful, man. I just want people to wake up and see it. You just have to wake up and see it. It's not that no one has ever seen it. Hopefully we can pull up this video here in a minute and let the brother from back in the day, I want y'all to listen to this exchange and understand this is where our mentality needs to be. This is where our mentality and our psyche, we need to be dealing like this. Go ahead and play it, brother.
All right. Hold on. Why are you not playing? Can y'all hear it?
No.
All right, 1 second. Let me say something. Oh, there we go.
Can y'all hear it?
No, you probably got to go back and hit the box again.
No, I know what it is. You
got to share the audio too.
This is a very interesting conversation, and I want people just listen to the exchange, but really understand like this is where our mindset needs to be. This brother is explaining like everything we talking about like perfectly.
Yeah, it's
So
not playing for whatever reason.
all right, hold on.
See if,
I'm gonna find.
all
Hold
right,
on. Give me a minute. I'll find one that play because we need to listen to that. I'll find it. Let
No
me get
doubt.
right back with you.
All right.
definitely. But yeah, man. So
And I'll say this, bro. When we start talking about white criminality, I know Logic touched on it, but it's very important to understand that white criminality is at the root, is at the basis for all of our criminal codes in this country. It's the reason for the 1866 Civil Rights Act. It's the reason for the Reconstruction Amendments, white criminality. It's the reason for the Ku Klux Klan Enforcement Acts. It's the reason for that. It's the reason for the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Civil Rights Act of 68. It's the reason for all of that, because without white men's criminality, you wouldn't have to have prohibition in the United States. So almost every criminal code that's designed to stop some criminal activity is based on white men's criminal actions, and they have to enact these criminal statutes and codify them in the federal laws and state laws and so forth, because of the criminal activities usually of white men.
yes, indeed. I mean, you go back and look at the what was it? We was talking about it not too long ago. The antitrust laws was due to criminality. All of these different laws were due to the criminal actions of these people that tried to make us the criminals. We have to push back on this thing, family.
Antitrust, anti-monopolization laws, all of that.
That's right. That's right. The reason why you have to have regulations in place is because these people will keep dumping toxic waste in areas that toxic waste shouldn't be dumped. And so you have to have regulators and regulations put on these things. You have to have regulations put on how much carbon emissions can go into the air, because if you leave it up to the gas, the fuel, the fossil fuel industry and the automobiles that they may be invested in, they burn this planet out. They burn this planet out. We'd have no ozone layer. This comes from man and his greed, his avarice. And you know, these types of things have to be addressed. They have to be addressed. And everything is playing out right now. You know, as I was speaking, I got this notification. Newsmax White House correspondent agrees that it's time to get, quote, Second Amendment supplies ready for 2020 election fight. This is media. These are people that are right-wing media echoing this call. I got the news on I got it on mute, where the electors of the states are basically casting their ballots. Excuse me. I'm trying to read and look at, and for whatever reason, I'm expecting some white nationalists to run up in there with an AR-15 in one of these places and just start spraying as if that's going to stop the vote.
Well, you see what Alex Jones said.
Yeah, they trying to get him arrested. Mm-hmm.
He said Biden is going to be removed one way or the other. You know, right out there with them Proud Boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's a link that he put up for a tweet. He was saying, see if that will play from there.
Nah, what it is something wrong with my USB box and my microphone. So I can't hear nothing through the mic. Let me see if I can. And yeah, and I can't. It don't give me the option to share from my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see the share from the phone option.
Oh man, hold on. Let me
Let's
see if I could do it. I need to get on the computer.
Yeah, man. So while we trying to get that worked out, because something is wrong with my audio interface and it's not playing sound and you can't hear my mic. So that's why I'm broadcasting from my phone right now. You just see me through my main camera, but everything else is muted out. But insofar as the gangs, I want to touch on that real quick while we're trying to figure that out. We need to come up with an aggressive program that, we're not going to stop them from fighting each other. That's just not going to happen because there's too much invested in, this dude just killed my homie and I got to get him back. And then when that person got back, the thing just keeps going and going and going and going. But if we can try to find a way to bring all of these street organizations together, let me stop saying gangs myself, all of these street organizations together and pull them under one banner. Well, first and foremost, that'll scare the heck out of the devils, the adversaries who have created us to be a specific type of way and then enforced a specific type of imagery and said that we are this way, not by their doing in government and private business and private industry, etc. No, it is just because they are naturally savage, because this is what they felt since Blumenbach and since a lot of those early plantation documents and books that started to come out in 1774. So, it's interesting, but it is what it is. We got to get our people to break out of that. And it's a tall task, but I don't think that it's an impossible task. I don't think that at all. I don't think that it's an impossible task at all. So we're going to try to pull up this video. Let me see. This is an interesting comment by DMT Zell. He says, this is an elitist war for black folks are just going to be casualties. I guess he's saying this is an elitist war and black folks are just going to be casualties, like the ones in the Democrat cities who helped them cheat already, getting arrested for election fraud. Now, obviously, this is what this person said. The first thing this person said was kind of true, and I agree with. The second thing that this person said is a bunch of right-wing debunked conspiracy theories about the election. You have your black Trump supporters who become adversarial in a sense as well, because they're spreading the conspiracy theories of a criminal, of a rapist, of a supreme adversarial individual in the president of these United States, the current president of these United States, and Donald Trump. But it's hard to name one who hasn't been. All right, let's see if we can. All right, yeah, I got it up, Brother Logic.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
This is I agree with you perfectly. This is the basic problem.
Then what do you
that white people think they're better than others.
I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated. Well, so you can have him. The problem is
my man went in right there. He said, and I say you too, because you were part of it.
Yes, that's the mentality, that's the mindset of a man who knows who his adversary is.
Facts.
You won't be able to do what you need to do to manifest your own liberation until you can cultivate that type of mindset, right? He understood perfectly. Listen, everything that you have given us has been contaminated. Your education's contaminated. Your religion, your Jesus is contaminated. Or everything that you gave us, you gave it to us contaminated, so it can contaminate us, and that it can erode and kind of eat away at any self-preservation, at any self-determination, and at any warrior spirit that we may have had. You gave us the contaminants to destroy, to eat it, to poison it. Everything that we've gotten from them has been poisonous. Until we start understanding that, you got too many people who are addicted to the poison. Too many people that are addicted to that poison and that fear that they won't step out and be like, you know what, I'm going to rebel against that. But guess what? If you are not willing to rebel, you are not yet willing to tap into true Americanism. And you don't have the real American spirit, because the American spirit at its core is rebellious. Rebel. You understand?
That's
against
right.
tyranny, against terrorism, against oppression, against all these things. And when I say that the American spirit, I'm not just talking about white folks, because our ancestors were right there rebelling with them, taking the first bullets in Boston, fighting the entire American Revolution, taking the same risk, writing, talking about the British and notifying people that the British are coming, along with we were instrumental in building this country. We showed them how to rebel, because we've always been rebelling in this country in some form or fashion. But there has come a time, there's a time period where that spirit was destroyed. That rebellious spirit that we had. Martin Luther King, as nonviolent as he was one of the most rebellious men in history. He rebelled against that. I'm not doing that. We're not supporting that. We're not going to spend our money there. We're going to go where you say we can't go. We're going to buck authority. We're going to do this, that, and the third to disrupt an oppressive system. We don't have enough of that, because too many of y'all who could be good leaders have been poisoned by, oh, I got a good job. I can't do that because I might lose my good ass job. And that might be something dangerous to do. But we will never get done what the past leaders and the past groups started working at until we can foster that mindset, have that type of courageousness, and lead the way they led. You got to be courageous like Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals and Dr. King. And you can't use your degree as no damn excuse. Huey P. Newton was an educated man, PhD. You understand? Bobby Seals was an educated man. Dr. King was an educated man. These people were degreed up. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And they still put their lives on the line for Black people and Black life and Black culture.
Facts.
Right? And so if you're not willing to lead like that, you need to get out the way. Because in order to get to the next level, we need next level leadership. You understand? And the next level is recognizing that adversary and how we have to combat this adversary. And we have to do it the same way all other people have done it. It's not going to be no different from us. I don't know what makes you think we're special, that we just going to be able to compromise our way to liberation and negotiate our way to freedom. That's not how this works. That's not how it's ever worked, and it ain't worked for no one else like that. Until you're ready to lose some physical skin and lose some physical blood, we'll never get what we're trying to get after, because nobody respects a group that ain't willing to die and kill for what they believe in.
Facts. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. Yeah, so where are the warriors at? Where are the warriors? Like,
they in the streets, bro.
They in the streets, and you know, be the power. We have these conversations because we have a understanding, a clarity about what needs to be done, a clear conception about the work that we have been called to do. And all of these things are included, because you don't get to one place without the other. The other are the people. If you think that even our push for reparations is going to be successful without connecting with the streets, our people who are largely living in the ghettos of the United States of America, then you're just talking. You're just talking.
Yeah.
Just talking.
Let me tell you something about that, right? If reparations is equal or greater to the undertaking of abolition, you understand? And if you're going to think you're going to achieve that without no bloodshed, you out of your damn mind. You understand? So I need the educators. I need the educated people. I need y'all. But you have to know your role and know your place, because you're not prepared, trained, or have the experience in doing the other part that it takes to manifest such an undertaking, right? I need the GDs. I need the Black Stones. I need the Vice Lords. I need the Bloods. I need the Crips. I need all of that. You understand? We can't look at them like that's not our family. You didn't let propaganda, media, and white supremacy say, now you saying the same thing that they saying. Look at that. That's black on black violence. Look at them. And you done ostracized one of the most powerful sectors of our group, which is the street organizations. Let me tell you how powerful that is, and how white, the adversary, has used their street organizations to gain legitimate power. You understand? The La Cosa Nostra, you understand? Which is the Italian crime families. The Italian crime families organized their criminal activity, created economic systems, used it to influence politics and private sector business, and they created a pathway from illegitimate underworld activity to legitimate over the top of the world activity. Now you got the same crime families who were illegitimate are now running Chicago, running New York, running New Jersey, running Boston. All these people came over
Miami.
Here. Criminals, but we gonna ostracize our family instead of insulating them and say, you know what, y'all have the streets on lock. That's what we need. We need to organize, and some of the best leaders in the history of our people have been a part of those groups. Best organizers will out organize and out lead any one of y'all out here today. You understand? They know what they're doing. They know about commitment. They know about sacrifice, and they know about what it takes to get to the next level. And they have the stomach for it. A lot of y'all just don't have the stomach for it. You think this is going to be some type of college symposium liberation movement? You out of your damn mind. This is real, and it's going to take bloodshed. You understand? And I'm not here trying to scare people or just do some rabble raising and say some radical stuff. Do the historical research. There ain't been no liberation movement that has gained anything without no damn bloodshed. It's
not even Dr. King's.
Not even Dr. King's. No, nobody's has, because that's not what liberation and fighting against oppressive systems is about. It don't work like that. Someone who's controlling you, using you as a resource, using you as a political tool, ain't just going to say, oh, they're tired of that. Let's let them be. That ain't how that works. The enemy ain't going to get off your ass until you start kicking some ass. You understand? That's just how it go. And we have to be complete in this, from education to liberation. You understand? So that's just how it has to be. You got to understand that, digest that. We all got family in the streets. That's your family. You understand? Being in the streets ain't the problem. The streets not being organized is the problem. You understand? The streets operating without no code and no principles, no leadership. That's the problem, because the streets can be a powerful force of protection, a powerful force of influence and message spreading and boots on the ground work. The streets can get a lot of things done in a
lot of things done.
You talking about raising money? Come on now. You get the streets involved, you get them. Yeah, a lot of our problems will change overnight.
I got this comment pulled up.
That's right.
I love this comment right here from Time Out. It says, for those of us that may be scared to bleed, you need to start studying first aid. You're still useful behind the front lines. I love that right there. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Like that too. But oftentimes they want to be on the front line. So you got to know your place again and your position.
That's right. The Black Wife said, y'all so deep, y'all made me miss my exit listening. Bring that ish. So yeah, family, we wanted to get on here and have a conversation about what we just conversed about. You know, we want to talk about this criminal element and how we're made to be criminals, while the criminals, the real criminals, get to run free. They are in an economic position of power to do what they will. Basically,
the real criminals get rewarded for their criminality.
Facts. They get rewarded. Kyle Rittenhouse, Dylan Roof. These people are gods among these devils.
They get bailouts.
They get bailouts. They get bailouts with no auditing, no anything. It's like, we don't want to give this bank any money because Bank of America was discriminating towards black people. No, we give them all money. But this is what the devil does. The devil takes a book like the Bible, pushes it on our people, and we live it to the letter of the spiritual law. We become good Christians, men and women, while the same Christian that gave us the book will rape our daughter, would gather in groups to lynch and hang us and burn us while screaming, glory, glory. They screamed while they hung and burned innocent black men in this country. The same group that basically brought us over here, and we conformed to this way of life, and we became the patriots. We became the upholders of law and order. We became exemplars of what the Constitution embodied. Oh, not these people. They're trying to overturn an election right now. They're talking about, I just read the headline where the woman, the White House correspondent from Newsmax, said we need to start stocking up on Second Amendment supplies. But what does Second Amendment supplies mean?
Yeah.
You might as well have said, y'all get your ARs ready, get your guns, Proud Boys. That we remember Trump told y'all to stand down and stand by. Well, get ready, because we're about to give she might as well have said that. But we get accused. Who can name a plot? Who can name a plot of a group of black men or black people in general trying to overthrow the United States government? Who can name it? Like they tried to overthrow the government.
Shit, ain't never happened.
It ain't never happened. Remember, what's this dude's name? Bundy, the Bundy Ranch. Remember the Bundy Ranch, right? Now, the Bundy Ranch is, I'm trying to remember this story. Something, I believe it may have started with some farmland or some cows. I could be off on that. Either way, the feds come. They're having a Mexican standoff with the feds. The feds are on rooftops and all of these other positions where they can get clean shots of. And the ranchers and these white supremacists have come from other states to join in the standoff against the feds. They're pointing their guns back at the feds.
Yep.
Let's take the NFAC leader, Grandmaster Jay. Some people like him, some people don't. I like the aesthetics of what that group does. Aesthetic wise, I like that. I do. Now, he points a gun, allegedly, that has a flashlight on it to see who's on the roof because they don't want to get blindsided by some sniper, et cetera, months ago. They come grab this brother up, charge him with pointing his gun at a federal agent. I forget what his bail was, and it was excessive. Another violation of the Constitution that we had to conform to. The Constitution, if I can speak in a biblical term, says, "Thou shalt not create excessive bails." And what happens when a brother from the hood get locked up? They know we can't make bail, so they make it excessive. 50.
That should be criminal.
Mm-hmm. It
should be criminal to be holding people who have not been convicted of a crime, but you're incarcerating them even though they haven't been convicted.
That's a fact. Sister Cynthia Adeyemi said, MF has announced lynchings in church. Read the book, White Too Long. This is what this guy's talking about. The book cover is a church with the cross on the steeple. Like he goes into it. The second chapter is how Christianity was the enabler of white supremacy. The enabler.
Yep.
You know? So let me see. Gresham Shalom says the spook, I see your screen, Logic. The spook who sat by the door tried to spark the idea, but we didn't catch the fire. Hey, this Nate Parker movie that's coming out right now. But before I pull out your screen up, Logic, let's talk about that Nate Parker movie.
Everybody support Nate Parker movie.
Please, everybody support that Nate Parker movie. Matter of fact, when the movie comes out, we're going to do a BTP special on that movie. Matter of fact, hopefully we could get that brother on for an interview. That would be great. But look at what the media is doing, right? The media is trying to shut down Nate Parker's movie. Now, I went to go back to when he was doing Birth of a Nation. I had never in my life watched media form against a picture in the way that from the local news that I was watching to cable news networks, they all had something to say about Nate Parker's movie. I think even Entertainment Tonight and those little niche magazine type of news medias that only deals with celebrity and celebrity gossip, etc., was giving Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation a bad name, causing the movie to flop. I remember I believe I was doing Blog Talk Radio at the time, and I was urging everybody to support that movie. No, I wasn't. I did a video that I posted up on my YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. But but this is what they do. Just to get back to they create. What was wrong with Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation? It was a story about the man, Nat Turner, who rose up against the slave masters. So the fact that these people were enslaved is not a problem. The fact that this man rose up against them was the problem. And media demonized this man's movie. Media. How is it that the slavery part was okay, but the fact that you want to make a movie about rising up against the slave masters, that's problematic. The original movie, Birth of a Nation,
shown in the White House,
special screening, was produced with the idea of criminalizing blackness. They wasn't burning crosses on people's front lawns until that movie came out.
And so elevating the Ku Klux Klan.
Elevated the Ku Klux Klan. White men were members of this
was
Klan all over the country.
It was the rebirth of the Klan after the federal government had dismantled the original Ku Klux Klan. This movie, Birth of a Nation, came out and resurrected the domestic terrorist organization. And then you seen Ku Klux Klan membership drives in the open. You seen it got so out of hand, and they came back and was just as violent, if not even more violent than the original Ku Klux Klan.
More violent. Jack Johnson, when he won the heavyweight championship against, and where you get the first term of the Great White Hope from? I can't think of this man's name right now, but he was a retired. Was it Sullivan? I can't think of it right now, but he beat this man because none of the other whites could beat him.
Not Max Schelling, was it?
No. That was Joe Louis. That was Joe Louis.
Joe Louis, right.
Mm-hmm. So he beat this man. He beat him bad too. Beat him bad. And the Ku Klux Klan went around America killing black people because their fighter lost. This is what we're dealing with, family. This is what we're dealing with. Let me pull up this screen from my brother Logic.
Jim Jeffries, I think that's
Jim Jeffries. I remember the last name. I couldn't. It was there, but I couldn't get it out my head. I got that screen pulled up for you, bro.
All right, bet. So I pulled this up just to kind of highlight the fact that white criminal activity gets minimized while ours get elevated. So everyone knows about the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense and how the FBI depicted them as this violent, radical group. But at the same time, you had another group of white folks called the Weathermen, right? And these people, I'm just going to read you what they did. And I guarantee you most of you have never even heard of them. But you've heard of the Black Panthers. They're such a scary organization, right? It says, I'm going to start it somewhere in the middle, right? They start out classifying them as this. A domestic terrorist group called the Weather Underground claimed responsibility for both bombs. Let me just give you the whole thing. All right. On January 29th, 1975, an explosion rocked the headquarters of the U.S. State Department in Washington, D.C. No one was hurt, but the damage was extensive, impacting 20 officers and 3 separate floors. Hours later, another bomb was found at a military induction center in Oakland, California, and safely detonated. A domestic terrorist group called the Weather Underground claimed responsibility for both bombs. Originally called the Weatherman or the Weatherman, a name taken from a line in Bob Dylan's song, The Weather Underground was a small, violent offshoot of Students for a Democratic Society, or SDS, a group created in the turbulent 60s to promote social change. When SDS collapsed in 1969, the Weather Underground stepped forward, inspired by communist ideologies and embracing violence and crime as a way to protest the Vietnam War, racism, and other left-wing aims. Our intention is to disrupt the empire, to incapacitate it, to put pressure on the cracks, claimed the group's 1974 manifesto, right? By the next year, the group had claimed credit for 25 bombings, including the U.S. Capitol, the Pentagon, the California Attorney General's office, and a New York State police station. Now, y'all can read that on your own time if you want, but I think that makes my point. Now, everybody knows about the Black Panthers, and they wasn't setting off bombs at the damn Pentagon and blowing up state departments and all of that. Why don't you know about this group? And everything that they said that the Black Panthers were, this organization really was. You understand? This organization was the communists. This organization was blowing things up. This organization was violent. This Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was a peaceful organization that did more social programs to address the ills of the community than they ever did anything violent. Most of the violence that was actually done by the Black Panthers was executed by FBI agents who were planted inside the organization. But how many of you have heard of the Weathermen? These were actual domestic terrorists blowing things up. The Pentagon. And that gets minimized. You don't hear stories like that. No one even knows. Why don't you know about it? But everyone knows Black Panthers, ooh, and then you don't want to talk about that. They were this radical group, but this group was at the same time and was way more radical. They were the poster children for radical organizations, but you don't know nothing about them because what do? We minimize white crime and we exaggerate, or most of the time, it's not even exaggeration. They just invent lies and say that we're a criminal organization and we ain't even doing no crime. We're just being American. See, when the adversaries being American, they get the American way. And they just call it, that's the American way. When we're being American, we get called criminals. So it can't be both, even it's the same thing or somebody's lying. So either being a criminal is the American way or something. You on mute, bro.
Bill O'Reilly had KRS-One on some years back. And this is why you got to know the art of argument. Because Bill O'Reilly was able to trip KRS-One up a little bit. But the point is, everybody knows KRS-One as a positive rapper, right? We don't know KRS-One as a gangster rapper, but Bill O'Reilly was able to paint him that way. And then what Bill O'Reilly did was pull up his record called his first album called Criminal Minded. Of course, because Bill O'Reilly didn't understand it, and he probably did do some research on what the album was about. It wasn't about, I'm a criminal-minded individual. He was just basically talking about the street life, and he, embodied that in the lyrics and in all of the different tracks that were on that album. But nevertheless, Bill O'Reilly, a criminal, he got fired for sexually assaulting a woman, and who knows what else this devil has done, because people with power believe that they can do whatever it is that they want to do and get away with. It's just as simple as that.
An actual criminal.
An actual criminal. The actual
he left with a
rapist,
severance package too, I think. I think he left with
several
$1 million or something.
The actual rapist and Donald Trump said the Mexicans are rapists. Like, whoa, dude, a bunch of women then came out and said, this is what we're dealing with. You go back to the Moors in Spain. The Moors were clean, smelling good all the time. The Christians said, because they're so clean, it is a sin for you to bathe. Don't believe me. Look it up. At one point in Christian Europe, it was a sin to bathe yourself because the Moors, our people, were so clean. Can you believe that? This is how they work. They work adversarially, period.
I want to speak to a comment real quick, right? I think it's very important. Who was it that said it real quick? It was, hold on. It was, man, I can't find it now, but they said, why should we model ourselves after white criminal organizations? Hold on, I want to read it verbatim, so I think I'm coming up on it. We need our own. Okay, say, why model from Tiffany Hooker? Why model ourselves after white supremacist gangs? I got two responses to that. And then the other one, Tiffany Hooker says, ADOS need our own code of conduct. Let me just explain this like this, right? For one, you have to study your enemy well. And even in the military, right? America is the world military power. There are almost every other military group in the world models their training, tactics, and procedures after the Army. Why? Because we're the best. So it's not an error in thinking to say, let's model ourselves after what's the most successful, right? So now let's look. Now take crime out of it, right? I know we have like we're not promoting kidnapping of our own group and anything violent. We're not promoting that. What we're trying to do is get you to a certain mindset to understand. If you're going to compete with somebody, right, the adversary, you have to learn their ways. You have to learn what's successful in that environment. And not only modeling, sometimes you may have to adopt some of the adversary's tactics in order to be successful. That's just the very nature of it. And I will also say, we have had our own code of conduct for ever since you can remember. We just have forgotten it. We've been had our own conduct. I don't know where you're from, right? But where I'm from in Chicago, right? We always had a code of conduct. We knew what the law was. We knew how to operate, what to say, what you couldn't say, what you could wear, what you couldn't wear, where you could go, where you couldn't go. You understand? We always operated like that. We come from an organized culture. So we always knew what time it was in that regard. And then even historically, what do you think the Negro Travel Guide was about? That was another way of a code of travel, a code of conduct. When we was maneuvering through the South through Jim Crow areas that were very violent, we knew how to operate to survive. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes you may have to take on some of the tactics of your enemy in order for mission success, to be successful. You can't be operating in a way that you're getting outworked, outbeat, outfought by the enemy because you have some type of, for lack of a better term, some type of moral stumbling block to say, oh, that's beneath us to do. You need to be focused on liberation. And liberation ain't pretty. Liberation is ugly. Now, when you get to your liberty and you can build this world, this land of milk and honey, you can focus on pretty then. But we're not in a position to focus on pretty and nice. We are in the ugly of the ugly. And the things this is warfare. And when you're in warfare is ugly. It's horrifying. Look at our history. If you read our history, read books like White Too Long, The Bloody Shirt, and many more books, it reads like a fictional horror novel. But that's our real life. You understand? So if you can't take on some of the tactics of your enemy in order to free yourself from their control and oppression, then you won't make it. And I understand that you may not have the stomach to do that, but get out of the way of those who do have the stomach to do it and support them any way that you can.
Like Time Out said, learn first aid. Yeah, man. So, Brother Ali, you wanted to add anything to that?
Hold on real quick. No matter how many sheep you have, they can't beat the wolf. You understand? The wolf needs a shepherd who knows how to use the tactics of the wolf against the wolf, who ain't afraid to get the wolf and get down on the wolf's level. You understand? The sheep ain't going to think about what they need to do to destroy the wolf, to get rid of the wolves and eliminate the wolf. The sheep just want peace. They want to be fed and they just want to live a nice life, right? That's the mindset of a sheep. But as a shepherd or a sheep dog, you thinking about ways to get rid of the adversary, ways to eliminate the wolf. And those ways and those tactics ain't pretty. You understand? That comes when you put the knife, wolf hunters, right? And shepherds used to put a bloody knife into a block of ice, put the handle into a block of ice, and then cover it with the sheep's blood. And that way the wolf, wanting the blood, will come and lick on the blade. And he's so lustful and desirous of the blood that he doesn't even know while he's licking the blade that he's cutting his tongue, bleeding out and dying, right? Because he wants that blood so much, he just keeps licking the blade, he keeps cutting himself. Now he's licking his own blood and he dies. Right? That's not pretty, but it's necessary to save the sheep. So just understand, warfare ain't pretty.
She said, when you are, I just want to read this real quick, Ali, and you come in. She said, when you are in war, you need access to food and water. Let me say, sis, we've been limited on the access to food and water for a long time in this country.
Hey,
For a
look,
long
that don't
time.
stop the people in Jordan from fighting. That don't stop the people in Palestine from fighting. That don't stop.
Somebody said lead water.
Yeah, that don't stop the people who have been cut off from resources from fighting for forever. Every fighting element don't have access to food and water, and oftentimes that's the very reason why they fighting in the first damn place, right? Because guess what? In a war, the things that you don't have, you have to go and take. And see, that's the real American way. See, now the real American spirit. If you what the real American spirit is not hard work and you can build this. No, the real American way is to take what you want and to take what you need.
Right.
All right, here we got
Eric
Nelly.
Holder said, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ali.
I was going to say, Eric Holder said something very interesting, and it really had to do with what Michelle Obama had pushed. Remember, she said, when they go low, we go high. But remember, Eric Holder said, nah, we don't go high. We kick them when they go low. That's what you do. Kick them.
Kick them.
You know, and I think that just goes to show you the difference, and you know how certain segments of Black America think. Some people, you know, they don't want to get involved in an actual fight, where other people's like, nah, you can't listen. You can't let that devil up, man. Once that devil go down low, man, you got to kick him and step on him and all that. You can't be all the, you know, running from him the whole time. Sometimes you got to engage him.
Oh yeah. All right, we have a comment up on the screen from Nelly Nell. It says, if you study our history, then you will see that our people have been studying survival and warfare. The problem has always been our own, selling us out for their own gain. Well, what do y'all say to that?
I don't know if that's the problem, but that's been a problem. That's definitely been a problem for us. You know, people who will sell out Denmark. I mean, you know, sell out the, you know, different people, and you know, just to kind of cut people off from being successful. It happens, but at the end of the day, again, we need the organization. And I think if we were to organize people and really get to the hearts and minds of the people who need to be in the fight, I think we can overcome that, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of times what they're able to do is a lot of those, you got to think too, everybody who sells out Black people, not necessarily doing it because they want to. Sometimes it's being done because they've been isolated. Their families, whatever the case is. Think about how the mafia works. What does the mafia, you know, we've seen this in different forms, where the mafia will, I got your son, you better do X, Y, and Z or you'll never see him again. Or I know where your daughter goes to school, I know where your husband works, we'll do X, Y, and Z. If you don't do, it's not always a thing of a Sambo or Coon doing this because he wants to. Sometimes they're put in that position because they've been isolated, and see, we don't, like the brother Logic said earlier, we got to learn how to insulate our people so that kind of thing is not, it's not so easy for that to happen.
And let me add this, in addition to what Ali just said, right? Vice versa, right? Oftentimes it's not that, like, it's because we have snitches and traitors among us, because every fighting force has that in their element. Every battle, every revolution, every war has always had its group within the inside that's willing to sell information, willing to trade secrets, willing to give people up. In every battle on every side, that has always been the case. What we come into is a problem where what I see that we lack in, and this is in political as well, in politics as well, we do not provide consequences for misconduct and violating the code. We let people off. Understand?
Yes.
So we don't have a political consequence for people who misuse us politically. We just like the Democrats, we just support the Democrats no matter how much shit they give us. We just keep on going to the poll, vote blue no matter who, vote blue no matter who, go along to get along. And then when it comes to the actual the history of insurrections and rebelling physically, we actually are more successful than you give consideration to. If you really look at that thing, If you really look at the work Harriet Tubman did, if you really look at the work that was being done at that time, we were very in extreme, but we weren't just very successful. We were the most successful people in the history of this country. Our success rate is out of this world. We just have to get back to that. We've been infiltrated by so many foreign thoughts, and we have allowed them to take over our protocols and the way that we operate. When we've had the best system all along, we've allowed people who couldn't win their fight at home come over here. So you lost your fight for liberation in Jamaica, or you lost your fight for liberation in Haiti, or you lost your fight for liberation in Cuba, and you've been getting your ass whooped all over the world. And then you come to America, where the descendants of the freedmen have been the most successful freedom fighters, and you want to come and tell us how we should be freedom fighting over here. And we, such an embracing people, have just allowed all of this foreign thought to come in and dictate how we should conduct freedom fighting here in America when we wrote the damn book on it. So we have to get back to those old liberation manuals of old American freedom fighting, right? You can't liberate and fight for liberty in America like you did in Jamaica or wherever the hell you're from, right? You got to come in here and do it from an American-centered perspective. We are the best at it. We've always been the best at it. I can go on and on and on and on and on about the outstanding leaders that we've had worldwide. We're so good at it that people from across the world herald our leaders for their own liberty purposes and motivating their own freedom fighting. Everybody in the world knows Malcolm X. Right. Everybody in the world knows Martin Luther King. Everybody in the world knows Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. Everybody in the world knows about them. And they come here. So then we come here and we allow them to lead us. That is ass backwards. You should be getting in line, getting trained, coached, and mentored on how to be an American revolutionary by the grassroots Americans, the day one citizens, the descendants of the freedmen, the sons and daughters of the freedmen, the emancipated people here. We did that. We built America as revolutionaries we're the original American revolutionaries. We fought the American Revolution. I mean, come on. Then that's right. That's who we are. Deep down at our core, that's who we are, the greatest revolutionaries, the greatest freedom fighters in the history of this country, and I'll even say in the history of the world. So that's one problem. We have to offer consequences for violating codes, politically and actual. You understand? There has to be a consequence. If there's no consequence, then what you gonna do, right? We just complaining for no reason.
Facts. All right, man. We've been on here for a nice little second. We wanted to talk. We wanted to talk our talk today. We wanted to bring the conversation that we was having among ourselves to the family at large, because this thing that we're fighting, right? When we look at the civil rights era, there were several movements in that era. I don't want people to get it confused, like, it was only Dr. King. No, there were several movements in that era.
You had SNCC, you had CORE.
That's right. I mean, you had the Nation of Islam, right? While they weren't politically, they were still a movement and voice in that era. There were several groups, actually, that we made the Black Panthers. Like, this is the civil rights era. So right now, what we're witnessing is a rise of that era again. The unfortunate thing is that media has found a way, as my brother Logic was saying, to let immigrants come over and lead us, the freedom fighters who didn't win freedom, the type of freedom that they would fight for in their own countries, the way we have over here, so much so that it made a way for them to come over here to make a way to help the people in the country that may have failed at their freedom fighting efforts. We now, with the understanding that we are a tribe right here in America, a tribe of people, New York, Chicago, Boston, Florida, Texas, Detroit, I mean, We can name them by states. We can name them by cities. Los Angeles, everywhere. We are a tribe here in the United States of America, and we have to begin to put our tribe first, period. It's time for that. It's time for that. So, we ain't going to stay on long. We about to get up off of here. I don't think my bros had any more to say. My brother Logic got to get off. And all right, brother Ali is good. So I'm going to leave y'all with the motto of our platform, and that is don't just fight the power, become the power, and then you'll have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace. And for those of you who going to vote, go vote. Early voting starts today in certain states. I know it starts here in Georgia. Well, no, I mean in Georgia. There's only one runoff election, and that's in Georgia. If you're in Georgia, go vote. If you're not voting for Warnock or whoever, then don't vote. But don't forget, today is the day early voting.